George Washington Carver. Born slave. George Washington Carver was born in Missouri in 1864 during the Civil War. George was born a slave, but when the Civil War ended, he and his older brother Jim were freed. Moses and Susan Carver, the couple who had owned them, gave the orphaned boys a home. Jim helped Moses in the fields, but George was often sick and stayed at home to help Susan. She taught him to read, write, and sew. What George liked best, though, was to garden and explore nature. Learning on his own, George taught himself about the plants and animals. He wanted to go to school to learn even more, but many schools at that time were segregated. This meant that white and black students could not go to the same school. Since the nearby school did not allow black students, George left home for another school. When he was 12, he lived with the Watkins family and worked for his meals and rooms. At 13, he moved to Kansas. When George graduated from high school, he earned a scholarship to go to a Kansas college. When George arrived at the college, however, the school turned him away because he was black. George was unhappy, but he did not give up learning. He farmed and taught himself to paint. His friends told him to try a different college. He went to try different college. He went to Simpson College in Iowa to study art. This time, the college let him stay, making a difference. George liked Simpson College, but he wanted to help others more. He decided to study agriculture, the science of farming, at another college in Iowa. He was the school's first black graduate. He later became the school's first black professor. Professor Carver went to Alabama in 1896 to help the farmers there. These farmers had a bigger problem. Each year, their crop was smaller and the farmers were poorer. Carver quickly realized the years of the growing cotton and worn out the soil. The farmers barely made enough money to buy food, so they had no money to buy fertilizer that would help the plants. Professor Carver taught the farmers that dead leaves in the swamp muck could be added to the soil as a free fertilizer, planting sweet potatoes, peas, or peanuts in the fields after the cotton was picked also helped the soil. These crops put important nutrients back in the soil after they were used up by cotton plants. Carver sent out information about how to grow and cook these crops. By eating them, farmers spent less money buying food from stores. Farmers also needed a way to sell the new crops, so Professor Carver became an inventor. He invented more than 100 ways to use sweet potatoes and 300 ways to use peanuts. Ideas are free. By 1921, people weren't listening to Carver's idea. He was asked to speak before the U.S. Congress, the country's lawmakers. Some members of Congress laughed and made fun of him. He had been given 10 minutes to talk, though, and he made the most of them. Carver talked about all the things that could be made with the tiny peanut. The men fell silent when Carver's 10 minutes were up. They gave him more time. In the end, they passed a law to help U.S. peanut farmers. Over the years, Carver became as famous as many rock stars are today. Crowds gathered to hear him speak. He turned down jobs and money because he thought helping people was more important. He believed that ideas were free and should be freely given. A lasting message. George Washington Carver believed that people should treat each other with respect. The one respect on a nation at a time, when few black people got much respect at all. Carver also believed that people showed respect and care for the earth. If they did, nature would provide the things they needed. Many years later, we are discovering that he was right.